Out of the 89 roller coasters I've ridden, I picked out 25 that stand out above the rest. Either they were just a lot more intense, had more airtime, or are just a lot more fun. I'm mostly basing this list off of how fun the roller coaster was, not specifically the airtime or intensity, although the top spots do have the most airtime, because airtime is really fun. Also, thank you to Airtime Thrills, Kennedy Coaster, Theme Park Worldwide, and Coaster Thrills for some of the footage that you will see in this video. Anyways, let's get into this video. Starting with my 25th favorite roller coaster, Intimidator 305. This roller coaster was extremely disappointing. It barely made this list. The drop was boring. I didn't really gray out, and most of the ride just felt boring. However, there were a couple of really whipping moments on this ride. I believe they're called switchbacks, and those parts were my favorite part. Those parts were crazy. Those are the elements that boosted the ride for me. The coaster rides 90 miles per hour, and I love feeling that speed. I also got a ride in the pouring down rain while I was riding this. One of the times, it was crazy. Riding through the list, at number 24 is Alpengeist at Busch Gardens, Williamsburg. This B&M inverted roller coaster was really smooth and pretty intense. This was my first large coaster of 2021, so I was a little nervous getting on it, as I am a bit nervous getting on the first coaster I ride of every year. But it's always amazing getting back to amusement parks after the off-season. I loved how the elements looked and felt massive whenever you were riding it, and it was overall really fun to watch and ride. I kind of wish I rode this more than once. Gemini on the red side will be taking the number 23 spot. It is located at Cedar Point. This ride had really good airtime, and the dueling aspect was really cool. The red side wasn't as good as the blue side, which will be coming later in the video. Steel Vengeance will be stealing the 22nd spot, and this is also located at Cedar Point. This opinion is going to be extremely controversial, but this ride was really disappointing to me. I was expecting really strong airtime. While it did have a lot of airtime, it was not strong at all, to me at least. I rode in both the front row and the back row. I got a night ride on it, but it just didn't deliver what I was looking for. The best part of the ride was probably the zero-G stall, which feels more like a cutback, but it was pretty whippy, and that's why I liked that part. The blue side of Gemini is number 21, and as I said earlier, this side was better than the red side, and the reason was because it just felt faster. The airtime was stronger, and I even got Flowjector. Again, the dueling aspect was really cool and made the ride a lot more fun. Last coaster of Superstition Mountain is an interesting roller coaster at Indiana Beach, and it is taking the number 20 spot. This is a really weird roller coaster, and I don't mean that in a bad way. This roller coaster was fit inside of the building of a dark ride, so it is extremely compact. It does go outside of the building a little bit, and it's really fun at that point, but this coaster has turns that are sharper than a wild mouse. It's crazy and so fun. I was laughing the whole time I was riding this. The theming is really good, as again, this used to be the building of a dark ride. For the number 19 spot, we have Georgia Scorcher at Six Flags Over Georgia. It is a stand-up roller coaster, the only stand-up roller coaster that I've ridden. I found it to be quite enjoyable, smooth, intense, and really fun. I rode this in the third row, in the middle seat, and I was expecting a bad ride because of the negative stuff said about stand-ups. But I was pleasantly surprised, as it was a really fun B&M roller coaster. It was pretty re-rideable, although I sadly only got to ride it once. At number 18, I have Verbolten from Busch Gardens, Williamsburg. This is mostly a really tame coaster, but in the building there is a really fun moment of the coaster, which is the drop track. It is an insane part of the ride. It was so fun, but there wasn't really any other standout moments other than that. This is really a one-trick pony. Invader at Busch Gardens, Williamsburg will be seizing the number 17 spot. This ride was really fun. In the front row, it has plenty of airtime, and in the back row, the drop was really crazy. The ride was really well-paced, and it was really fun. I was able to ride this multiple times because it didn't really have a line, especially toward the end of the day. Blue Streak from Cedar Point is the number 16 of this list. This ride is really fun. It has good airtime, some good laterals, and is really smooth for an old wooden roller coaster. At number 15, Mystic Timbers lurks. This crazy roller coaster at Kings Island has a lot of airtime. The drop was crazy, and the coaster also gave some good laterals. The shed was, well, a shed. The ride was really fast, as it was low to the ground most of the time. I've got nothing else to say about this ride. It was just really fun. Number 14 is Rocky Top Mountain Coaster, an alpine coaster I was able to ride right before visiting Dollywood. This ride was really fun, just coasting through the woods, and you're going to control your speed. I was coasting at full speed, and I was dispatched a little late, so the person in front of me didn't affect me at all. The coaster was pretty slow, but it felt so fast because the turns were so sharp, and the trees were right by you, and you were just zooming through there. Lightning Run at Kentucky Kingdom is the number 13 of this list, and it is crazy. This coaster has a breathtaking first drop, loads of ejector airtime, and a lot of whippiness. It is so fun. My favorite part of the ride is probably the first drop because of the butterflies I feel every time I go down it, or that I used to feel. I don't really get them anymore. A lot of times this is the first major coaster I ride every year, and it's a good one for sure. Thunderbird at Holiday World is a B&M wing coaster, and it is ranking at number 12. This ride, while it's not that intense, it is really fun. The launch boosts you up to 60 miles per hour in about 3 seconds. Then the elements are super graceful. Generally, I prefer the more aggressive rides over the smoother, more drawn-out rides, but this ride is an exception. And that slow inline twist through the barn at the end gives some really good hang time. Number 11. Thunder Run rumbles at Kentucky Kingdom. This ride, while the second half is quite boring, the first half delivers crazy flow ejector airtime, which sends you flying out of your seat for a couple of seconds. This ride is also pretty smooth, though it can get a little rough in some spots. The first drop really sends you out of your seat and will most likely give you butterflies in your stomach. Now that we're getting into the top 10, Millennium Force will coast its way to the number 10 spot. This ride has a great first drop, the overbank was really intense, and even gave some great airtime, which was surprising. This ride was really good, super fun, and carries great speed. This is a must ride if you ever come to Cedar Point. A lot of people say that it's just okay, but the intensity and airtime were really good whenever it had it. Other than the airtime hills in the first overbank, the ride just kind of meanders around. Coming back to the Thunders, Thunderhead at Dollywood will be taking the number 9 spot. This ride, in the back row, has a very good drop. Other than that, nothing is exciting. In the front row, however, this ride hauls through that layout, delivering some great ejector airtime and laterals. This was my 50th roller coaster that I've rode, and it was a good one for sure. I also got a few night rides on this ride, and it was running crazy. Another wooden roller coaster will be taking the number 8 spot. This is Cornwall Express, located at Indiana Beach. I rode this ride multiple times. I got to marathon it because there was pretty much no one in line for this epic roller coaster. The first drop swings you to the right with some great laterals and sends you flying out of your seat. The airtime hills in between gave multiple moments of projector, and the final helix threw you to the side like crazy. The ride operators were really good and were easy to get along with. Twisted Timbers is my 7th favorite roller coaster I've ridden, and for good reason too. This ride has a great first drop, especially in the back row. You just get whipped through that thing. The airtime is crazy, it just throws you out of your seat, and the coaster is also very whippy. This coaster delivers a lot of strong airtime, and is a pretty long ride too. My favorite part of the ride is whenever it goes through the lift hill structure, curves to the right, and banks out left. That is a crazy moment, so prepare to be thrown out of your seat. Keeping on moving through the list, the Voyage at Holiday World takes the number 6 spot. This ride is a Gravity Group wooden coaster, and it's my favorite Woody that I've ridden. This ride has a crazy first drop, 24 great seconds of airtime, some crazy speed, laterals, and is a very long ride too. Holiday World does a great job of taking care of their wooden coasters. They retract about 800 feet of this thing every year, so it's very smooth. If this were at any other park, it would probably be so rough because the average person doesn't take care of their woodies as much as Holiday World does. But this ride is so fun and crazy. Superman Ultimate Flight at Six Flags Over Georgia will be the number 5 roller coaster that I've ridden. This coaster is mostly really tame, except for one element on this roller coaster. The pretzel loop. The pretzel loop is crazy. It made me gray out, and it gave me so many butterflies. The most butterflies I've ever had at once. But other than that, nothing else would have helped it make this list. Twisted Cyclone, located at Six Flags Over Georgia, is just barely missing out of the top 3 that I've ridden. This ride might be short, but it has a crazy first drop, crazy elements, and crazy airtime. This ride is also good on your eyes, with bright blue track and white supports. All RMCs look really cool. The design for the train is also really cool, although I don't really know what it has to do with cyclones. This ride is made by RMC, so of course it's going to be smooth. There's basically no flaw with this ride. Coming in at number 3 is at Cedar Point. This is Raptor, a B&M inverted roller coaster. This coaster is really crazy. It gave some good butterflies on the first drop. The vertical loop, Cobra Roll, and final helixes were really intense and made me gray out. This ride is a little bit rough, specifically going into the brake run, but other than that, this ride is really good. It's so fun. Storm Chaser is a crazy RMC at Kentucky Kingdom that is at the number 2 spot on this list. This ride is a little powerhouse. This ride delivers the strongest airtime out of any roller coaster that I've ridden, and it's only 100 feet tall. This absolutely throws you out of your seat, slamming you into your lap bar. And what's great about this RMC is that you get to pull down your own restraint, so you're less likely to get stapled. It's amazing. I once had my lap bar like 5 inches above my legs, so I was flying out of my seat. It is so fun. This ride is also very whippy, especially toward the end. This is the coaster that this channel was named after. Taking the gold, though, is another roller coaster at Cedar Point. This is Maverick, a 105-foot tall coaster that is extremely whippy. This roller coaster is very intense and makes me gray out. The drop of this ride is right after a long flip hill, so you just fly out of your seat, getting so many butterflies in your stomach. The airtime is crazy, the tunnel launch was amazing, and the super whippy overbanks give me so many butterflies. Those are my favorite parts of the ride because of how abrupt they are. There is a reason that this is my favorite roller coaster. Anyways, that's going to wrap up today's video. I hope you enjoyed. Be sure to subscribe if you enjoyed the video, like if you enjoyed the video, comment below if you agree with me or if you disagree with me, and what your favorite coaster is. Have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.